Everybody, yeah, yeah, rock your body, yeah, yeah. Mike and Steve are back. It's the improvement season. There you go. I shortened it down, guys. Sorry, I almost wasn't going to do this, guys, but I thought you might be disappointed if I miss it out. So I'd throw it in there anyway. Backstreet is back. Steve, how are you doing, my man?
The reason I went like this was I was like, oh, it's the same jingle, Mike. I was like, oh, I'm looking forward to a new one from Mike. He's busting it out. It's like, oh no, we've just got you're rotating between, is it two?
I've got 3 on rotation at the
Three.
moment.
Ah, I mean, that's pretty good, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I did. Do you know what? I did have I had a new one in my head, but I wasn't 100% confident in it, so I kind of just went with a failsafe.
Well, so what's it called? ChatGPT just gives you them, right?
Not with these ones. Not with these ones. These ones are OGs, originals.
Okay, nice, perfect. Did you ask how I was?
I did. Yeah.
Yes.
How you doing?
Okay. We're recording this a little bit later because I just basically have had incidents with Ada. I won't go into too much detail, but yesterday she was sedated and she's just not been well, and stuff's coming out of her and she's making a mess. And yeah, if I would be embarrassed for someone to come into our house right now, because I don't imagine it would be a nice smell, because I've kind of, what's it called? You become desensitized to it because once you get acclimatized.
Yeah.
So it no longer smells probably as much as it truly does in here. But the good news is, actually, just on that note, the cancer hasn't advanced. It seems to be stable. So whatever's causing her to feel unwell isn't the cancer. I just had a phone call, and she's got a UTI, so we need to get her some antibiotics. But she's been not just the stools is the issue. That's kind of causing quite a lot of smells. So yeah, hopefully that gets better. But it's one of those things when your dog's not well, when anyone's not well, you just want to kind of like treat them, right? So we've just been allowing her bits of food and treats and her diet's been quite varied. And it seems like that might have not been ideal for her. So she's just on chicken. I say with chicken and rice, but she hates rice. But she's almost eating like a bodybuilder. Just boiled chicken.
Just missing the broccoli now.
Yeah, the broccoli probably wouldn't sit so well for her. But the chicken's going down well. She's eating all the chicken I'm giving her, which is strange because it's weird. I don't eat chicken, so we just don't have it in. So I have to go out and buy it purposely. But yeah, anyway, that's the biggest thing on my end. Otherwise, my training, nutrition is kind of so. It's the standard off-season good things, really.
Yeah, that's it. You're on a smooth kind of roll with things. It's all doing the do as such.
How about yourself?
Good. So, for those who follow me on my Instagram, I kind of mentioned on my story last week that last Friday I had a follow-up at the fracture clinic where they re-x-rayed my shoulder, and they were really happy that the bone was healing nicely, which was a big tick. So they discharged me from the hospital now. So they essentially don't have any concerns from a bone healing perspective, which is awesome. So it's just about progressing the recovery essentially. And yesterday I had a catch up with one of my physio colleagues who's really, really experienced. And it was kind of a mixed bag because it was really good to get some more rehab ideas as to how I can just supplement my general recovery and the kind of rehab of the shoulder essentially. But she said to me that, it's probably going to be another 6 weeks, which I don't know why. I just, afterwards, I just felt down and like, I just was a bit depressed, I would say, yesterday evening. And I really appreciate, because you messaged me and you said, 6 weeks is nothing, which I know.
It will literally go in a blink of an eye. It really will. I know it sucks in the moment though.
Yeah, and I think so I was just a little bit deflated yesterday. But do you know what? And again, to the positive aspects of it, she was really keen in looking at my training program and stuff, and she said she saw that I was doing a one-arm shoulder press, and she was like, "I want you to do the shoulder press on your injured side." and obviously, modified the loads according, appropriately, et cetera, et cetera. But she said, I think the shoulder press will be a good exercise for you. I want you to be loading that side. So again, it's not like I'm not going to be doing nothing on the left shoulder. It's just, in terms of how it felt pre-injury, it's just probably going to still be a tiny bit longer. But, otherwise we're on the move.
Yeah, I guess we always hope. I guess actually it comes back to that whole common thing we've said on the podcast many times. Like the trick to happiness is low expectations. You probably went into that chat with her thinking, oh, she might tell me it's only going to be like, I don't know, a couple of weeks until I can get back to full normal training. And then it's like, 6, damn it. So you almost should have gone into that being like, oh, she's going to tell me it's like going to be 6 months. And then she says 6 weeks. You're like, oh yeah, amazing. But I mean, you can't trick yourself into these things. It's like trying to trick yourself into believing a placebo or something, or trying to not nocebo yourself into various things. It's like you kind of the brain's a tricky thing not to play around with too much. But I think how long's it been like full stop since the injury? Right, it's been over 6 weeks. No,
this is week 7 as of today.
There you go. So like you think about that and how far you've come from the start to now. And it's 6 weeks until you're fully back at it 100%. Like that's what she's given as a timeline.
Yeah.
I'm sure she was like, hey, it could be more, it could be less, whatever. But that still means every week leading up to that, you're getting closer and closer to being fully at it. So yeah, I was encouraged from hearing that, but I can totally see why it's like a bit of a kick in the teeth where you're hoping for like, we all wanted to be leaner yesterday, stronger yesterday, in the gym, training 100% yesterday.
Totally. And I don't know if this plays into it as well, but I think, when you don't know any better, you're quite content. But when you see something that maybe someone else can do or someone else has that you can't, it kind of almost, I don't know, it affects you a little bit. And I think sometimes when I can sometimes see people doing like bench pressing, or they can like go, really hard on their chest or delts or whatever, because those are kind of areas for me which I'm a bit more cognizant of wanting to improve. And I think because I can't kind of fully do it at the moment, it kind of it reminds me a lot more of maybe just where I am at the moment.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether that plays into it a little bit as well.
Yeah, for sure. I remember, obviously, I have a slap tear, and that meant, and that actually ended up taking way longer to recover than it should have, because it was just undiagnosed for so long. This was months and months of like various physio and rehab that I was trying to get done, where they thought it was one thing, weren't sure, and it just was not getting better at all. It wasn't until I got an MRI really late down the line, I don't know how many months it was after doing it, where they were like, oh, it's a slap tear, you need keyhole surgery. And I was just like, fuck. And then I got hit by a van and ended up not being able to train for ages, and the inflammation around it obviously died down, and then I was super weak, so I just started loading, and somehow the musculature has created enough stability and things there. And so yeah, it's weird because back then I can't relate because that was over 10 years ago now, so it's really hard to like be like, oh yeah, I know exactly how you feel, Mike. But back then there wasn't that much social media, and I don't really remember comparing to what other people were doing. I just remember being super frustrated. But it's the same. Like I've had, I remember football was like my sport, and I remember injuring my knee and not being able to like kick a ball for months, and it was just like torture. So yeah, I think it's the great thing I think of in your situation is you can be in a better place. You are recovering it basically as fast as it could possibly be, because you've got all the knowledge and like the skill set there to be able to do it in a smart way.
Yeah, and that's exactly what my colleague said yesterday. She's like, "You're doing really well, by the way. You're doing really well. So like, don't worry about it." So it's you're totally right, Steve. And I didn't actually realize that you got your slap tear prior to your car accident. Didn't realize.
Yeah. Stupidly bench pressing, and then it felt a bit off doing heavy bench, and then went into like heavy dumbbell pressing, and it felt really bad, and I just like pushed through, and then it just constantly was like painful, and I just was losing performance on it for a long time, and eventually I just couldn't train that side of my body. But yeah, it was the only thing. I just kept trying to train because the physios never said like stop, or I remember I even got, what's it called, where they like they put like they put little needles in, micro needling, I think is it? And then they like zap it.
Acupuncture?
It might,
Electroacupuncture.
yeah, I had that electroacupuncture even on it. It did fuck all. Obviously, it's torn, so of
Yeah.
course it's not going to. Same with like I've forgotten what this is called too, where you kind of put strong plasters on to keep it in a certain place.
Oh, strapping.
Yeah, strapping. They did that on it as well. It's the amount of time and money that must have gone into things where it's just like an MRI just would have told me exactly what it is and would have avoided all that messing around. But in some ways, weirdly, I probably would have had keyhole surgery if I didn't have the car accident, like
Mm,
if I wasn't hit. Uh, which I don't know if I've heard of people having slap tear surgery and it doesn't always go how you hope afterwards.
no.
So I'm actually, it's weirdly grateful that I got hit by a van in some ways.
And isn't that so funny how sometimes something that can be such a negative, maybe kind of you look back on years later and you think, oh, actually, there was some net positives that came out of that.
Yeah.
Revive Stronger being one of them as well.
Yeah, exactly. I can't look back at it and be like, oh, I wish I didn't get hit by the van because I'm like, well, I wouldn't be here today if that hadn't happened.
Yeah,
I guess this is why living with regret, it's better to, yeah, like there's no point living with regret, right?
totally. And like 2 points. Like the first one is that always reminds me of that Steve Jobs quote where he said, "You can only connect the dots looking back, but you have to live your life forwards." And so sometimes something happens and we can't see what might come out of it, but again, we look back and it's like, that makes sense now. Okay, but again, just you live and you learn, right?
Hindsight's 2020, they say, isn't it? That's the kind of the epitome of that. That makes so much sense.
That's it.
Should we jump to news of the week and then because I'm cognizant that we have half an hour less
Yeah.
time. So, do you have
Let's
any
let,
news this week, Mike?
of course.
Oh,
So,
you did?
yeah, well, a couple of things actually. So, well, firstly, I just wanted to say this past weekend I was at the NPA British Champs.
Yes.
So, and really good show. It was at the Middleton Arena in Manchester, which is really nice. It's not quite as big as the Grove Theatre in Luton, where the WNBF had their first timers and where they'll have the Supernaturals, but it was still really nice size, and there was lots of good competitors there. The the chap called Rob Cole Alfie. I don't know his full name, but Robert is his first name, who won the men's overall. Really nice physique. So well deserved there. And the the woman who won, she was actually 19 or 20. Her name's Libby. Huge amounts of potential as both a bikini and figure athlete. I don't know if you'll be able
Mike,
to
sorry
find.
to interrupt. Can I find these guys on Instagram?
Yeah.
Do you know their
So
handles at all? Because I might be able
uh
to share.
yes. So if you look for
Let me
um
share my screen just because that might be nice for people.
yeah, so do, 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 do.
You said
Oh,
Rob.
I'll be able to come on. So oops. So
I've got. Is it Rob Toft Collie? Did you
that's
say?
it. That's the one.
Yeah, I've got him. He immediately came up first.
Ah,
Yes, I know Rob actually. Oh, cool. Yeah, he's here.
it's a really nice physique.
Yeah, he's very like his symmetry and flow is really good, but
Yeah.
obviously lots of muscle as well. That's
And
cool.
again,
I wonder why I haven't seen him compete. I wonder if he'll be doing the Supernaturals. That'll be interesting.
maybe.
I'd be disappointed if he didn't. Not surprised because I don't know what to expect, but yeah, very nice.
And then I should come on.
Well done, Rob.
Yeah. And let me just find
Was he a standout winner? Do you think?
do you know what? So
Or was it
between
close?
him and second place, who
Shredded, man.
yeah, like between him and second place, the second place was actually really good as well. Like good balance, good symmetry. If Rob hadn't turned up, the other guy would have won for sure. So it was close between them two, and then I would say there's a bit of a gap between them and the rest.
Do you know who second place is? His name is? No.
No,
Did the NPA post the results like with
they
everyone or?
haven't yet. No,
Ah, damn.
which is a bit unfortunate. We haven't got that there.
Need to be on it.
So,
Yeah. Okay.
but there, the
Oh, they have
bikini
some
athlete,
things here. Yeah.
Libby Kamen Zoo Fitness.
Is this her here?
Yes. So
Yeah.
she's, I think, 19 or 20.
Wow.
And just, again, like, as a bikini athlete, like, she was absolutely standout.
Yeah,
And
they have some of the winners here. They just don't
so
have them
those are the
tagged.
masters. And
Oh,
if
here we go.
there you go, that's it.
Nice.
Yeah, tons of
Yeah,
potential.
really good bikini athlete. I wonder if she'll do the Supernaturals.
Yeah, maybe.
Cool. Very cool. Well done, guys. Well done.
And on that picture you just clicked on a moment ago with the Masters winners.
Oh, yeah. Let me go back.
So there we go. So I don't know his handle, but the guy on the left, I think his name's Robert something as well, but he's over 60. And like
Wow. I recognize him.
he's won a lot of things. So I think he's
Yeah.
won a few BNBF things. Yeah. And just muscularity wise, like, really, really impressive. So impressive. Good conditioning. Like, yeah, he was really impressive. And to be like that and over 60, whew,
Yeah, it's wild.
I wouldn't mind looking like that when I'm over 60.
Yeah. I mean, even any point
I
looking like
know.
that, to be honest. Like, absolutely wild. That's awesome. Yeah,
So,
you shared a bit on your story as well. Was there anything else from the day that comes to mind?
I think no particular standouts as such, apart from those were the main standouts I would have said.
Cool.
But overall, I think it was just a really, really nice, really well-run show. It all went smoothly. The overwhelming feedback from everybody was positive. Everyone had fun. It was a good day. So, yeah, it was just really, really good.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear that. Were you judging how many? Did you do like every category or?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I did every category. So it was great. It was great for me, great for experience. And yeah, it was, really, really good.
Yeah, it's nice when you're judging, although it's full on, it's nice actually judging like basically every category because you want to be there and do stuff, right? You don't, and like when you're on and off the table, I don't know. It's nice to have a bit of a break now and then, but if you've got breaks in the day anyway, you've kind of got that sorted. So
Exactly.
awesome. Any other news from you, or was that it?
Well, the only other news, so I was trying to do a bit of homework whilst we started a bit later. I was like, okay, I can use this to catch up on a few things. So I guess the news for me, well, firstly that caught my eye is that, do you remember back in, I think, 2021 at the Supernaturals, there was a guy called Max who won the overalls for Supernaturals?
German.
Yes. And we saw him at the Netherlands, but he wasn't competing, he was coaching. But I think we saw him.
He's unbelievably shredded right now.
Yeah, I saw him. He'd won the IFBB Pro Austria, NPC Austria. So, yeah, I don't know whether so he's got an IFBB Pro card.
Right, I've got to share because people are hearing this and people watching will be able to get this. So, yeah, I know Max, he'll probably come up.
Melchett Mac. That's it?
Wait, this one?
Yeah.
Cool.
I think that's him.
Yeah. There
you
we
go.
Absolutely freaking shredded, man. I remember him at the Supernaturals. My memory of him at the Supernaturals was not like his condition was good. I don't actually remember that being the thing I remember him for. The thing I remember him for is his symmetry. Just unbelievable. Oh, it looks like he's doing some like robot routine. I haven't got the music playing, so I can't confirm that. But yeah, you can see he's got like his X frame's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
So did he? It looks like he won a couple of classes. No, it's hard to tell, right? He won the
Yeah.
overall, but he's got his bodybuilding trunks on, and then he's got the classic overall as well. So maybe he took both. Crazy.
There
And
you go.
he is a dentist. Yeah,
Ah,
dentistry. Yeah, full-time dentist. For some reason, I remember that. Random. Oh, here you go. Like one absolutely everything. Doesn't surprise me. Damn, son.
crazy.
That's wild. I
Crazy.
thought my chest gets striated. That's some detail going on.
It's like Rich
Yeah,
Gaspari.
symmetry, right? Just
Yeah.
very, very good. Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then final bit of news was that there's going to be a new category at the Olympia. So fit model, I think, is going to be a new category. So
Oh,
they're essentially going to have less athlete numbers, I think, at the Olympia this year. But whether it's related to that or not, there's going to be a fit model category. And I didn't look into exactly what the kind of criteria is going to be, but it's a new category. So we shall see.
I imagine Paul Revelia is a good person to look into for that sort of thing. He's very on the kind of IFBB and their female categories and everything. So I imagine he's done some content on it, kind of his thoughts and digging into it. I may have heard it or seen it, but it wasn't something that like grabbed me. But that's interesting. Great job, Mike. You had some news. I have
There we
some
go.
news.
Go
Not
on.
much though, so I won't take too long. So I will share my screen again for this one. Actually, I'll share it for all of it because
I love it.
for the listeners. Don't worry. There's the us speaking is enough to understand the news. So I want to give a shout out to my man Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
Ryan Morgan just won his OCB Pro card, took his category and overall, and just brought an outstanding look. I was super proud of him. It particularly kind of means a lot because we've been working together for years, and I took him to stage for his first season, and he did really well that season, and he's just been putting the work during his off season, and yeah, took the dub.
Wow.
Is that what you say? The dub? I don't even know. Took the win. I don't want to say it. I'm trying to be down with the kids and not knowing the proper lingo. But it looks like everyone there was pretty damn good in terms of the people that went pro. And yeah, I'm excited for him. Excited for, we've got a bunch of extra shows coming in. This was early for him. We kind of jumped into it last minute a little bit. So yeah, well done, Ryan.
What, so do the OCB have their own pro shows then? I assume.
How do you mean? This
Um,
was as in he took his pro card, and then these guys also took their pro cards that day.
And will they have will the OCB have some pro shows coming up later this year that he can compete in?
He's been invited to the Orton.
Awesome.
You probably heard of the Orton Cup.
Yeah.
But it's all the way in the US, and it's in like a few weeks' time. So
Okay.
it's
Maybe
not on
not.
the cards.
Yeah.
No. It's very expensive, like to get a flight that short notice. So yeah, which is kind of a shame because Colin, who I didn't screen share, but he also went pro not that long ago. Also got an invite to the Orton, but again he went pro. Here he is, not like a while ago. So how many weeks ago is that? 7 weeks ago. It just would have been a long time for him to like hang out, and he's got a newborn child and stuff to get on with, you know. So yeah, that's funny. And then also I have actually I can't speak to this one because I'm not going to divulge that because I'm not sure they want it shared just now. So there could be someone else at the Orton Cup. Let me put it that way. Then the only other thing I want to share, I don't know if let's do this. I don't know if you've seen this news. This is like very like general fitness news, and this is The Rock. So I don't know if have you heard this at all? What's happened with The Rock?
Nope.
So he's lost like 50 pounds.
Oh, what?
So he recently came out in like Milan or whatever. Oh no, yeah, is he in Milan? Somewhere in Italy, Venice, maybe in Venice. And yeah, he's like shrunk right down. The image quality on these is terrible. But
what's been the reason for it?
I haven't seen anything from him. Loads of people like have their own thoughts on it. I think basically he's 53, I think, and it's just he's too old to keep blasting the amount of
Yeah.
gear he's probably been blasting to maintain such a physique. I think he mentioned he wants to go into different roles. He felt a bit like
Mm,
pigeonholed, if that's the word, into like just like muscular big guy
yeah.
roles.
Mm.
Whereas, yeah, he wants to try doing different things. So, yeah, I think it's just funny because there's so many people being like, how could he do that? Blah, blah, blah. And there's like people that still think he's natural or whatever. It's like, guys, yeah, no one's losing 50 pounds that quickly by just like, just losing muscle. So, anyway, that's my like Gen Pop news.
Yeah, and I think for those who listen to the Revive Stronger podcast, obviously, you had Joe Jeffrey on this past week, kind of the latest one, and again, I thought it was just really, it's kind of like when he mentioned it. So the comment that stood out to me as well is that when you are coming off the gear as such, it's a you're never gaining muscle. It's a fight to not lose muscle fast. And I was like, yeah, wow, it makes sense now that you said it. But yeah, it's crazy. So I thought that was really insightful episode.
Yeah, it's one of those as well where I think I said it in the episode where it's like you're such a high hill and then it's quite a steep downhill. Whereas when you're natural, like it's slow on the climb up, but it's also slow on the climb down. You don't just like I forget the name. Rob was his name as well, the NPA competitor,
Mm,
the over 60-year-old. Like the fact that he is still carrying that amount of muscle, it's probably not that far off his peak. So
yeah.
that's pretty exciting to be able to think of that. So yeah, people should listen to that episode. That was a bit of an off the cuff kind of episode. Like both me and Joe were just like, I just thought it'd be an interesting topic to jump into, and people seem to have really enjoyed that. Should we get to questions, Mike?
Let's do it. We've got quite a few, haven't
Nice.
we?
Yes, because I actually got one reached out to us, Killer K009, and he actually sent in, only 3 questions. Okay, I thought it was more than that. Should we cover his first? So this is a
Yeah.
YouTuber or YouTube commenter. So let me ask you the first part of his question. So he actually said, I follow tons of fitness content and feel like my training philosophy aligns most with you guys. And I have some questions. So 1, if I'm only doing 1 to 2 sets per week for a muscle, but it leaves me slightly sore and perturbated, stiffness, crampy, general weirdness and weakness feeling for at least a day or 2 afterwards, and I'm making slow-ish but measurable progress in rep strength most weeks, would you guys still recommend doing more sets if I want to maximize growth?
My answer would be no. I don't think you need to. I don't think you need to add more sets at this point in time, because it sounds like you didn't. It didn't mention it specifically, but um, it sounds like he's recovering just about on time. I would have said, like, he's sore or he's kind of perturbed for a day or two, but then he's kind of recovered. So I would say, if he's just about recovering on time and he can make slow but measurable progress, I would say that that's the most important thing. Whereas if this person, sorry, I've forgotten his name, Killer,
Killer.
uh, not Killer were, but Killer, if he adds more sets, but then all of a sudden he can't make progress because he's not recovering on time, the rest of his training starts to go down the toilet because of that, then I would say he's shooting himself in the foot. And actually, it's probably better for him to stick with the current sets and volume that he's got, but just keep focusing on making progress. And then when his body adapts and maybe he's recovering faster now, maybe maybe he's recovered in a day or less, then I'll be like, okay, maybe just drip feed in a little bit more and see what happens then, and then go from there.
Yeah, I think that was perfectly answered. I'm not going to add anything to that, Mike.
Woo! Oh my. Okay, right. So I'm going to ask the next question, which was, would you consider deep deficit deadlifts combining 2 to 3 of wide snatch grip and or standing on a platform using small diameter plates? Suboptimal for growth compared to something like RDLs. Oh,
Do you
sorry,
think
sorry. Let me rephrase that. So the question was, would you consider deep deficit deadlifts suboptimal for growth compared to something like RDLs?
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, do I need the bits and brackets? Because that
I
is just
don't need that.
throwing me reading all of that and being like, and listening to it and being like, oh, um, I really dislike, as last time when we were comparing sissy squats to leg extensions, isolating one exercise or one variable within a program and ignoring the entire program or the bigger picture. It's something like if someone was to say to you, Mike, what would be better for health or growth or just whatever? What would be better, eating a chicken breast or having 5% lean beef? It's like, like I'm just like, which do you prefer? Like, it's really not an easy. One's obviously better than the other. Like, if you were to ask me, what would be better, Steve, having some chips or having like a baked potato with some olive oil? I'd be like, I mean, that's a bit easier. The olive oil and the baked potato probably better, but still, what does the rest of the diet look like? I almost couldn't care less what this one thing you've individually thrown at me. So I wouldn't consider deep deficit deadlifts being suboptimal compared to RDLs without knowing the goal, the context of the rest of the program. They're both hip hinges. They're both hitting some muscles in a similar way. With the deficit deadlift, I guess you are getting potentially a little bit more glute, potentially, and maybe a little bit more quad versus the RDL, which, depending on how you perform it, it might be just more hamstring. Whereas, yeah, I think that's basically the only difference between the two. But you could increase hamstring sets somewhere else within the program to kind of compensate for that. And equally, you could, I don't know, do some hip thrusting or something else to make up for the glutes. So, yeah, I don't know if you have any additional thoughts that might.
I think the biggest thing that just comes out at me with this question is just similar to what you said about just getting a bit too caught up in the minutia. Like, I think they're both similar. Focus on the principles. Can you make progress on it? Can you get a good stimulus in what are you trying to target? What's your overarching goal with that exercise? How does it feed into the rest of the program? Don't worry too much about some of the minutia is kind of my only comment to that.
Yeah, and I often think it often works itself out because if you auto-regulate things, say one is more of whatever muscle, you'll probably find that those muscles that aren't getting quite as much love, you can do a bit more volume through a certain exercise. Like, I don't know, if you go to good mornings and suddenly, oh, my upper back is a bit more fresh because I'm not having to hold on to a weight. Well, if you auto-regulate your set volume, you can just put a bit more towards your upper back pulling. Or maybe your upper back pulling is just fresher and so you progress it faster and you get a bit more stimulus and you don't even need to make any adjustments. So, yeah, it's. I think you answered that well in terms of, I didn't see it. Did you see the second part to that question? He said, I'm wanting a glute focus hinge.
Oh, I didn't even think that was part of the question.
I'm wanting a glute focus. Damn, he might have just given us it all here. So I want to hit the hamstrings and quads a bit too. So you won't hit the quads in RDLs if you're doing them appropriately. When I do them, I even feel like I hit my back too, like lats. Yeah, they have an isometric contraction. Traps, yeah, the traps are heavily stretched under load, being sore stiff 2 days after. I'm shooting for full body hypertrophy. So yeah, you won't get quads from either really very much. A bit more from the deficit deadlift because you will have a bit of knees traveling forward and the hamstring will shorten and the quads will lengthen a little bit. But yeah, if you are just wanting a glute focused hinge and some hamstrings, both are great. And as we just described, you'll get a bit of each. So I don't think that changed our answer there. Cool.
All right.
Next question, or the final question from Killer is training at 100% max stretch worse for hypertrophy if it requires a 25 to 50% load reduction to stay within a 5 to 30 rep range? Do we have data on how much stretch is optimal? Would it be better to reduce range of motion to use a heavier load?
Okay. So you might have to just pick me up on a few things if I'm off here, Steve. So with regards to the component of the question where it's like, do we have data on how much the stretch is optimal? My answer to that would be, well, we know that there's obviously clear evidence from Milo Wolf, Dr. Pack, that, that when the muscle is in a lengthened position, that is a potent aspect of hypertrophy. When it comes to the first aspect of, is training at 100% max stretch worse if it requires a load reduction? This is one of those, six of one, half a dozen of the other, I think, in my opinion, because, if you are, focusing, it's kind of like the example of technique. If you're trying to keep technique so pristine that is limiting your ability to load it or go to proximity to failure, then yes, it's not ideal. However, again, if you're focusing on that max stretch, but you're still going to a close proximity to failure, and then you're able to progressively overload it over time, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. So I guess what my short answer to this is I think so long as you're going to a close proximity to failure, and I think if you're within the realms of, I think you could do either, to be honest. I think it's a really hard question to answer, and I think it's probably going to vary a little bit from exercise to exercise. But yeah, I don't think it's one over the other.
Yeah, Mike,
Sorry,
just to
you chime in.
further what you've said there, I agree. I think it's very much proximity to failure is the great equalizer here. So long as you're taking that target musculature to close to failure, whether or not you use a bit more range of motion versus a bit less, I really don't think is going to make like a wild bit of difference.
Yeah.
And it could be that little bit of range of motion where you use less load, like the extra load that you can use with lesser range, kind of makes up for that. And again, that kind of proximity to failure being a great equalizer. We don't have data on how much stretch is optimal or even needed. It's like people talk about length and partials, and the data looks at that first 50% of the range of motion. Well, what about the first 25%? What about just like the first 10%? Like how much? What about just holding an isometric stretch? I think some dynamic contraction is probably, I think there probably is some data to suggest that's slightly better than just like holding isometrics, but isometrics can grow you as well, just not as well as probably doing dynamic movements.
Yeah.
Mike, did you see the second half to his question? Or I'll read that out to you.
Yeah, if you read that out as well.
What if I have a secondary goal of maximizing flexibility and mobility, not just hypertrophy? Would reaching the deepest stretch be advised, or would separate stretching be better?
Definitely not. I don't think you need to do separate stretching. I think even if you're just training through a full range of movement, not even necessarily really honing in on, a lengthened partial, I still think you'd get mobility improvement slowly over time. So yeah, I think just focusing on good solid range of movement, and again, it depends on what specifically from a flexibility mobility is trying to improve. And again, people have always got to remember this. What are you improving your flexibility for? Because there is no correlation between your ability to touch your toes, quality of life, and longevity. So if someone can't do something, maybe they play a sport, or maybe there's a functional thing that they would like to do but they can't, and so that means they want to improve their flexibility. Perfect, fine, right, now we can do it. But like I really feel that don't be influenced because you feel that being able to put your palms to the floor and touch your toes is better. It's not.
Yeah, well said. I think it's tools in the toolbox. I was just thinking of one of the downsides to maybe using less load but a further stretch, and maybe going to like passive tissues. And people often forget like muscles are quite quick to recover and bits and pieces like this, but you'll know this better than anyone. Joints, connective tissue, like that takes a beating, and that takes a while to also recover. And it comes back to the leg extension sissy squat like argument, right? This could be an argument for like the leg extensions. I don't know, I can do more load, whatever. It's hard to compare that versus a sissy squat, but still the sissy squat gets you to a longer muscle length, but it puts more strain on other tissues that you might not want to. It makes me think of, I was doing an RDL, sorry, and then I went to a straight leg deadlift, or I rotate between them. It's like, I don't think one is necessarily better than the other. It's just good to vary the stresses that the body is having. I think too often people look for that silver bullet of like, what's the best thing to be doing? Similar, like, I don't know, what's the perfect diet? It's like, not so much. Like having an inclusive diet of exercises is also good, within reason, of course, like generally wholesome movements.
Yeah, totally. And you, don't know why, but you just reminded me of a quote from Kung Fu Panda, where in the film, where in the film, the key thing, this is Kung Fu Panda #1, by the way, just for clarity. And
How many are there?
I think there's 4.
Oh man.
I know. So #1, the best, is that so like Panda's dad has the noodle soup, and it's like there's this magical recipe, and the crux of the story, sorry, this is going to be a spoiler if you haven't seen it, is like there is no secret ingredient to noodle soup. And just again, there is no secret exercise, secret diet. It's like, yeah, there is no secret ingredient.
Apart from the one that we have at Revive Stronger, you can only get it if you sign up with our coaching.
That's it. We'll only tell you if you join.
The secret sauce is join our coaching and find out. Right, perfect. We got two killers questions, and we'll see how many of the IG questions we can get to. As ever, guys, that's the first time I think we've had any from YouTube, but if you do have questions, put them in YouTube comments. I will see them and make sure that we can get those covered as well, because I know a lot of you might just follow on YouTube and not on Instagram. And also, I guess some of you are on Spotify, and maybe, I think you can actually write comments on Spotify. Which is too much for me to handle. I can only do YouTube. Like, not good. So I won't see those if you comment over on there. But I digress. Let's just get to questions here.
So
let me ask. Yeah, it's you.
Let me ask you this. So this is actually from my client, Aaron. Shout out to Aaron, and thanks for asking this question, Aaron. So he asks, what things can a client do to get the most out of coaching? Obvious and not so obvious ones.
Interesting question. So, obvious ones, right. On signing up, well, let's start from the start. On that first consultation call, maybe think about what questions you might have beforehand. If you do have any questions surrounding coaching, be very kind of open and honest to the point of which you feel comfortable, of course. And give as much information about yourself as possible during that period of time. And if you do have any questions, don't hold off on them. That's a better way of saying it. You don't have to necessarily come in with questions, but if you do have questions, please do ask them. And that goes for the whole coaching process, actually. There's no silly questions. There are silly questions, but for us, we don't care. It's completely fine to ask the silly questions, where we would prefer you to ask them than not ask them. I always find it funny when people are like, there's no silly questions. It's like, well, there is, but I'm not going to judge you for it. It's all cool. So anyway, so that's the start. And then on signing up and kind of filling out your application form, if you have, I don't know, data available, like you have spreadsheets that you've been using, send them across, or try and give us as much data. So if you have a gym kit list, send that across. So give us as much data as possible, and that will really help us on the onset to be able to get things started up. And then obviously just do your job as a client, check in on time. If you're not going to be on time, please let us know, and always just check. So for example, it was a bank holiday just recently, and I had one client basically send me a check-in like the next day being like, oh, Steve, I realized it was a bank holiday, so I thought we weren't going to check in, but you didn't say anything, and so I probably should have checked in. I was like, I'll always tell you guys if I'm not requiring a check-in. So always just kind of check and be on top of those things, and just ask if you're unsure about any of that. So yeah, just like the basics of that, like form videos, get those filmed, be open-minded, but do share your opinion too. Don't kind of, it's that middle ground of, you don't just want to trust the coach and willingly and do things that like, hey, if I tell you to jump off a cliff, don't go jump off a cliff. Like, you'd be like, hey, Steve, I don't think that's a good idea. So definitely give our kind of your views, but also be open-minded to maybe trying some things that you haven't tried before as well. So yeah, all of that will be really, really helpful. Less obvious ones. Have you got any obvious ones you want to add to that, Mike?
It was really just re-emphasizing the communication piece. I definitely find that people who, even if it's a shorter check-in, maybe they kind of give, 10 minutes normally, but they have a really busy week, but they still manage to send you 3 minutes or whatever. I find that those kinds of people tend to see better results because they're always being consistent, being able to check in and keep those lines of communication open. Whereas I think when you can't keep those lines of communication open, that's when things can drop off a little bit more. So I think that's just one extra thing that I would add. Again, don't aim for perfect. Just aim to just be consistent, and that's what will move forwards. So that would
Yeah.
be the only thing else that I would add.
Yeah, well said. Even at times, I've had clients where they haven't filled in their spreadsheets. They're like, "Oh, there's no point checking in or whatever." I'm like, "No, no, it's better to like just generally let me know how you're doing versus not letting me know at all." And then it's always useful. That might be like a less obvious one. Is there any aspects of the process that you're not enjoying, whether that be like fundamentals, like exercise selection or like your nutritional setup, or just part of the process of our check-in process? Because we can be flexible within reason. Like there's certain things we need, but if you
Mm,
don't like tracking your steps, then we can discuss whether or not that's needed. We can
mm,
kind of hide that. I always like to say, like, I only want you tracking bits of data that I need. If there's stuff in there that is just tracked for the sake of tracking it, well, let's get rid of it. Let's make your
mm.
life as easy as possible. So yeah, that's maybe a less obvious one. Wasn't? Do you have any less obvious ones that come to mind immediately?
Uh, I'm struggling, to be honest with you. Um,
I have
I
one.
Go on.
Sorry. Just if there's things that come to mind that you want to share with us, share them. You might think that, hey, we're just your nutrition and training coach. Nothing else matters. And obviously, we've talked about this a lot. Like stress is stress is stress. Like in relationship stress, like environment stress, work stress. It all contributes. So do tell us about that and go into as much depth as you're comfortable, because we are humans and sometimes just we're not counselors. We're not like psychotherapists or anything like that. But just offloading that might be helpful, and it builds rapport between us. Some of my clients will ask me, like, how are you? How's Ada? Like, whatever it is. I don't expect them to. But if they ask me, I always like to just give them an update because they're building that, like we're in a relationship kind of way, you know? So I
Yeah.
think that might be a bit less obvious where people look at it as like black and white. This is about just our bodybuilding. Nothing else matters. It's like, actually, bodybuilding is such a lifestyle thing that it impacts everything. And when you build that rapport and you actually develop a really good friendship, everything just runs better.
Mm. I would maybe add to that. I mean, you could disagree here, but I think get involved if there is stuff coming up. Like if we have like a Christmas get together or a meetup, I'd be like, hey, if it's financially viable, if you can, come, because not only do you build that rapport because you see us in person, but you meet other clients and you get to hear their experience, you make friends, etc. And I think that again is maybe a less obvious one that maybe takes a bit more effort and commitment. But hey, in terms of locking you in, and I think just turbocharging things, I think that could really help too.
Yeah. Yeah, very well said. And I only have one less obvious one that could be put to this is uh like if there's any elements of the program diet training that you're not adhering to, or you're doing something slightly different, I'd always prefer to know than you to just guess that it's okay. So if there's an exercise in the program and I don't know, we prescribed a Smith machine squat, but you're just like, I'm just going to do hack squats. I won't tell Steve, it's fine. Like he doesn't need to know. I'd actually prefer to know. Or if, I don't know, you're doing something funky with your nutrition, like intermittent fasting, for example, or you decide to go vegan. I don't know what it could be, but you don't think I need to know. I'd always prefer to know because this, I don't know, you sometimes see this when a problem comes up and then you start digging into things. You're like, oh, I didn't know those things were happening on the back end. I don't know. You have terrible sleep, and I don't know that. I don't know. You've got 3 dogs you're sleeping with, and whatever. These sort of things. It
Mm.
can just that kind of complete transparency, and I appreciate not everyone wants to be super open. You don't have to be either. Just enough. And if we ask questions, be open to kind of answering them to your comfort level. As we've mentioned a lot of times, like we don't expect to like know you inside out, but the more we can get to know you on that level, I think it is helpful.
Definitely. Just don't assume, I would say. Like, just don't assume we know or that it's not important. Just like tell it to us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's any part of the it's like I think sometimes I've had consultations where people will be like, "Oh, do I have to give you photos?" I'm like, there's no part of there's some very basic things I need, like it's hard to know exactly like the absolute fundamentals I would need, like their goals, and then like I'd like body weight, that would be helpful.
Mm.
I'd like them to logbook their training to some extent. But again, we're flexible. Like I could get a waist measurement that could be quite indicative of how things are going. I don't necessarily need photos. And like we always ask our clients if we can share them on social media. We don't just share them by default, because I've had people sign up and they're like, oh, like, or they've had a consult with us and they're like, oh, I don't know if, like, I don't want to share my photos. Is that okay? I'm like, yeah, completely fine. Like, we're very
Mm,
flexible, so long as we have the basics we need. So yeah, don't assume, like you said. I
mm.
rambled too long on this
No,
question.
that's fine. It was good. We got some nuggets there. It's all good. Let's do
Cool.
the next
Shall I ask the
question.
next one from Pedro Defer? Pedro. Yeah.
Pedro
What?
Odfer. Odfer.
What are your macros and step count when bulking?
Well, Pedro, have you been listening for the last few episodes? Is all I'm going to say because we've been mentioning it recently. At least I think, anyway. But well, for me at the moment, I'm on 3,300 to 3,400. Step counts around 8,000 steps per day slash average for the week, roughly. Um, Proteins around 200, fats around kind of 60 to 70, and carbs are the rest, whatever that might be. Probably in the yeah, I don't know what it is. Yeah, around there. That's where I'm at.
And your steps have actually been higher than that, right?
True, they have been high. There's probably more around. They're actually consistently probably more around 10-ish, but I'm trying to keep it towards 8. I would say.
I actually would need to check my MyFitnessPal to know where I've been hanging around, but I know off the top of my head, my calorie goal is around 3,500. I'm on like 230 grams of protein in and around that. I try and hit. My carbs normally land over 400, between 400 and 450, somewhere around that. And my fats are normally in and around like 70 to 80, somewhere around that sort of number. And then my steps, I think on average, I hit around 12K on the week. I'm normally a little bit under 11K. Sorry, I'm a little bit under 12K every day
Right.
during the week. But then on the weekend, I normally hit like 15,000. And so my weekly average normally settles around 12K. As a general rule, just to add some value to this discussion, I like people to hit around 6 to 7 as like a minimum. And if they are going below that, try and do a bit of cardio on the side just for like the longevity and health benefits that you might want.
Yeah, I'm
Cool.
very much in agreement with that. So Rene de George asks, or de Gorge, no, anyway, Rene asks, best ab exercises for hypertrophy of the whole abs are better dynamic movements like crunches or isometrics, anti-extensions like the ab roller, which are better?
Well, we need to do some content on this, or as a just comparison game of like not liking these questions. Is this better than
Mm,
this? And just fundamentally for the abs, I just think about origin, insertion, pelvis, sternum. Get an exercise that gets you to some sort of length, so you can extend the spine, and then flexion of the spine. And so long as you're training that, there's lots of different ways you can do that. Abs are though, I have to say, Mike, abs are frustrating to train. Like there is very few machine crunches that are great, but when you find one that's great, it's like wow. I've forgotten the gym's name, but when I was in Cambridge, why have I forgotten the gym's name? Do you remember it? It's
no,
just
I
completely gone
can't
out of
remember.
my
It's
head for
gone.
some
Yeah,
reason.
it's gone out of my head too.
But whatever their machine crunch was, unreal. Like really good. Like most of them don't get you
Ooh.
to a good stretch, but really good stretch and then like really good contraction. And you could go heavy on it, and like your lower body was like all supported. I think it maybe had a seatbelt on. But yeah, most aren't great. I like was trying to set one up on a cable stack with like a stubby bench, and it's just such a faff. Cable crunches are good, but once you get strong, they start to become like keep yourself planted to the ground is hard. I like put kilos of like I put a 20 kilo plate on my like ankles to try and keep you weighted down. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, any other comments?
Nah, no, totally agree. I think at the moment uh I'm really I'm still vibing with the ab mat crunches and the lying. I really like the lying leg raises that I do over the bench where I've kind of got it's like a bench press and I have an ab mat and I even wedge the ab mat a little bit higher and so that I'm a little bit more lifted off the floor. And I just feel like it creates a great stimulus for me. And at the moment, I'm not so strong that loading is an issue for me. So those are great. But again, there is no secret ingredient. One isn't necessarily better than the other.
Is that your personal ab mat?
No, it's the gym's
Oh, it's
ab
the
mat.
gym's.
Yeah.
Ah, because my gym has one, but I don't know about you, Mike. I kind of hate asking. Is it just left out in the open, or is it behind like a desk? Okay, it's out in
No,
the open.
it's just out in the open.
Yeah, so if it was like that, I'd be a bit more like, oh, I'll just use theirs. But I'm thinking about buying one just because I hate having to like go and ask every time, and I don't know, maybe it's being used at some point, and yeah, just then your gym bag just starts getting full of just all this crap.
I know, I know. You got the yoga blocks, you got your belt and whatnot, and yeah, it gets
Yeah.
so much sometimes. But
But ab
maybe,
mats, I'd almost say are underrated. They're actually really useful, but just yeah, a bit of a hassle because I wouldn't use it for anything else but abs.
yeah. I mean, there might be the odd occasion where you could on a leg press or another machine. Like for instance, I've seen people use it with the machine hip abduction, where maybe it's just they don't fit it quite properly, and so they use it there. There might be the odd machine where
Behind
you
their
can use
back.
it. Yeah,
Ah,
just
yeah.
makes their back a little bit more comfortable.
I was literally doing those today, and I like put my hands behind my back to like support me there. So yeah, that's anyway. Maybe I'll have one soon.
Yeah, maybe.
Right. Did I ask that one?
No,
No,
it was
you
me.
asked it. So Remy Saka, our man Remy, asks, you know me always with food-related questions. If you had to pick one protein source for the rest of your life, which would it be
Oh
and
my
why?
god. Do you
Oh
know what
dear.
I hmm
I think I know
okay.
what I'm going to say.
Okay. I had two choices. So the first thing that popped into my head immediately was just protein powder because I just felt that you can use it in lots of different ways. It's tasty. You can have it sweet, but then you could do lots of different things with it. And then the second one that I thought of was also eggs because they can be quite versatile. So
Yeah.
those would be my picks.
So protein powder for you, what protein powder would it be? Like whey, casein, a
Uh
blend?
I'd probably go blend
Okay.
and I'd probably go if I had to only choose one flavor, I'd probably just go chocolate because I
Not
don't think
vanilla.
I'd get too not
You
vanilla.
knew I was going to
Oh
say
my
that.
god, I didn't pick vanilla. No, not vanilla. Not
To be
vanilla in
fair,
this situation.
chocolate's a basic kind of protein powder flavor, right? And I would always go chocolate as well. It's like you can't go wrong with a good chocolate.
Yeah.
Um, my answer would be very similar. I think eggs is a great answer for the protein because well, it's hard because the fat actually from it is, I don't know if that counts as pure protein, like as an egg. Does an egg count as a protein source or is it too much fat? I don't know. But that's where the nutrients come in. Is like a wise choice from like a micronutrient perspective for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'd pick a protein powder as well. And I think like maybe a milk protein, so like a blend of whey and casein. So you just get like, it's just so versatile, man. It's
Yeah.
hard to beat. So, and the other thought that came to mind was like a fillet steak because I just love steak and it's expensive.
I just
But
feel that after a while, I don't know, would you get bored of fillet steak though?
yes, yeah, there's
Mm,
only so many ways you can kind of, I guess you could blend it and make it into a burger and then you could have it as mince. But yeah, there's only so many ways you can eat that. Right.
true.
Next question.
Okay. Right.
Maybe the
So
final.
yeah. Sophia dot in dot da dot gym. Sorry about that. Sophia asks, been loving ab rollouts on the ab wheel lately, but it kind of hurts my shoulders. Anything you can do to take the stress off the shoulders?
Interesting. I wasn't expecting the shoulder stress, although that makes sense because it does. That is a pivot point as such for that movement. Taking stress off the shoulders. Can I think of a way? Does anything come to mind for you for Mike?
It's not without inherently changing the exercise slightly. So I was thinking of rather than doing it on like a flat floor, like could
Off a
they not
wall or
be?
something?
Yeah, but then obviously that might not be as stimulative if you did that. So it's a tough one. I would say if it's tolerable and she can get a good stimulus, but maybe she just holds whatever she's doing in terms of performance, reps, etc. Maybe just hold it for a little while until the shoulders build up a bit more tolerance to that particular exercise because you're using your shoulders in a very stabilizing manner. And if just we haven't built up the shoulder stability and endurance yet to tolerate it, maybe it just again needs a bit of time for the shoulders to get stronger and adapt to it. So
Yeah.
um, I think it all depends on how tolerable it is at the moment.
Yeah, maybe a different way of doing it would, obviously you can do it off the wall, maybe thinking about doing it with a bit of a limited range of motion. So like as soon as you
Yeah.
feel that kind of discomfort in the shoulder as you're getting into a deep stretch, like come back up. But yeah, it's a tricky one because I was expecting ab rollouts. Most people complain about their back, like their
Mm.
lower back, and they're probably just not controlling. If they are, they're either going into extension and they maybe shouldn't, or they're not controlling it enough at that point. So yeah, shoulders though, like you said, they're inherently involved to a large degree, and there's only that you can't really change the movement in any sort of way that I can think of. So yeah, unfortunately, Sophia, we don't have great answers for you. But the good news is there's lots of other exercises you can also do for abs.
Hey, yeah, exactly. I
Cool.
think the only other just final quick add-on I would add to that is if it was again a really limiting factor, you could again just consider some supplementary like other exercises as well. Like you might even do something like go into a push-up position and doing some shoulder taps, etc. Just building up that little bit of shoulder endurance, shoulder stability aspects. I think again, I would probably, if you wanted to kind of look into that a little bit, that could be a possibility too.
My thought just goes to like, that's a lot of effort for ab
I know,
rollouts. It starts to become like, is
I know,
that the saying, I love the juice worth the squeeze.
exactly.
Nice. Great.
That's it.
Guys, thank you so much for listening. Sorry, this one was a bit short. It's, kind of my fault, a little bit Ada's fault down here in some ways. But we'll get to the rest of your questions soon enough. As ever, they are in the Hypertrophic Time Chamber, my broadcast group linked in the description. You can join that over on Instagram. But if you have questions outside of that, you can drop a comment over on YouTube or even email us if you really need to. It's just our name at revivestronger.com and we'll get to them. Otherwise, our reminder is that we are online coaches and we answer these questions that our clients ask all the time in tons of depth, just like this, to help them out to the best of our ability. And so if you are interested in that, that will be linked in the description as well. We can have a consult call and have a chat. We are just like we are on here. So yeah, don't be afraid or worried or don't know what to expect. We're the same. Anything else from you, Mike?
No, just give this a like, a share, a comment. We appreciate your comments. Please be involved. So yeah, we'd really appreciate if you do that, guys.
Awesome, guys. Catch you in the next one.
See ya.